thank you for being willing to do this, Stephanie. If you don't mind, just to start introducing yourself, letting people know your name, where you work, and what you do.
All right. My name is Stephanie, and Stephanie Ridge, and I am a budtender at Arizona Natural Concepts dispensary here in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been budtending there for almost a year now, and the journey getting there has been, it has been quite the journey, that's for sure. My background, I was a nurse for 27 years, a registered nurse, ICU. And just going through a lot of trauma experiences in life, and you don't really realize how a lot of situations affect you mentally, especially being a nurse in healthcare. It's always you can compartmentalize and separate the death and dying from, but there are when things happen, sometimes that's kind of hard to do, and that's kind of what ended up happening with me. So when COVID hit, I kind of had like a tower moment, and it was like, I just can't do this anymore. So that's kind of what started my journey, because I had attempted to do traditional, and I know this is the same story you've heard over and over again about doing traditional medications for pharmacologic drugs, SSRIs, those types of drugs. And of course, as I've been talking to more and more people now, is they work opposite of what people want them to do, which is the same thing, that kind of happened with me. And that's kind of what started my whole journey with the medical marijuana. So, I stopped nursing and I got my medical marijuana card, and that's how my whole journey started. It's really been amazing. For the longest time, I kept saying, I probably should have been an accountant. I don't know. I feel too much. I shouldn't have been a nurse. But looking back now, with what I'm doing right now, it really has been an incredible journey. It started out with my healing. And then in the process of my healing, I just started just talking to people. Sometimes people just want somebody safe they can talk to, that they don't know, they may not ever see again even.
The judgment-free part, right?
Yeah. And so many people have done it and literally have just broke down crying, and I'm crying with them, before I've spent an hour with them and I'm hugging them, walking out the door, come back and see me, It's been an incredible journey. And I think that's what it's all about for me now, is just to continue my healing by giving back in a positive, more compassionate way. And in that way, I'm not having to deal with all of the healthcare agenda. You'll give back in a whole different way. And I've had so many people come back and just say, thank you so much. Just for listening to me that day and the suggestions you made. And, I feel so much better. It's just been the most gratifying year. And I just know 2022 is going to be so awesome.
Yes, please. What made you take the leap from, first, like being a patient yourself, like, a medical card carrier, to taking the leap to kind of go on the other side of the counter?
Well, I really didn't know. I knew I wanted out of nursing. I just could not do the job anymore. And I really didn't know what to do. So once I got my medical marijuana card, I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I was like, well, I don't know. One day I just said, I'm going to go apply at some dispensaries in the area. I got my resume together, and I went to the first place I went to was ANC.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I filled out the application, and the guy was like, okay, well, we'll be in touch with you. Okay, cool. I got 5 minutes down the road, and my phone's ringing, and it's the manager of the shop saying, hey, did you just fill out an application? I was like, well, yeah. And she's like, well, did you leave already? I was like, well, yeah. And she said, well, can you come back? And I was like, yeah, I can be there in 5 minutes. So I went back, and we interviewed, and she said, well, you're really overqualified for the job. And I said, well,
they're not used to having someone with your level of experience, like your medical experience, right?
Yeah, the years of nursing and stuff. And I was like, well, it's not really about that for me. It's really about, my journey and what I feel like I can give back at this point with my background. Yeah. It was so funny because they had somebody named Steph that had worked for them before, and they had the name tag that said Steph. And she said, it just must be. I'm just going to take space and take a chance on you, because I have this name tag that says Steph, and I just know it was meant to be. Yeah. And literally what happened. I didn't apply to not another dispensary, and I've
Oh
not
my
walked
gosh.
in since then.
It was meant to be.
Really do. Our shop is really cool. They opened 4 years ago with medical, and they've grown tremendously. I've been with them for almost a year now.
Okay.
And the shop really just has a cool little vibe to it. And it's really like a little family. I mean, I really love working for them. And they're just growing every day. A lot of the people that come have been coming there since they opened, and then when they open rec, there are a lot more people. I mean, it got a lot busier.
Yeah.
But I mean, most people are known on a first name basis. And it's really just a nice, homey, vibey.
Yeah. It's like cheers.
Yeah. It is kind of a great little place. So yeah, I love working there. It's been a really great experience.
And do you specialize in like medical patients, or it's kind of anybody that walks through the door,
we have a lot of medical. Like I said, with the opening of rec, we've had a lot of rec come in. And it's, and that's been really good too, because a lot of the recreational patients who didn't, want to go the medical route for whatever reason,
Yeah.
they're able to take advantage of, it now legally, to where they can, heal themselves or take care of their pain or their anxiety issues, stress issues, those types of things. So that's been really interesting too, and I think that's really nice that, people have access to that, because I truly didn't think I'd ever see that in my lifetime.
Yeah. And sometimes we talk about how this kind of black and white distinction between medical and reg, it's not really real, right? Like, because
oh, it's really not. It's really not. Everybody's using it for the same purpose, essentially. But yeah, and it's just explaining that there's not a line between. It's just you have a medical card. I mean, and they don't. I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's just all needs to just come together. Like I said, people opening up and having compassion for each other again, because that's really what needs to happen.
Yeah. So for the Polite Line, like, one of the things that we really celebrate is like CBG and CBN. Yeah. Where do most people that you talk, like, where are they at in terms of?
So I've been doing a lot of
appreciating those things, or do people even ask for those cannabinoids, or?
So there are some people who are asking for them. And there are some people who, come in the shop and they see the displays and they start asking about them. And of course, I'm always pulling out, those, because I think, I like, especially the Polite products, I really, really like them. When I started using them myself, I was just really amazed at how well the Ease Your Mind worked, because I was under a lot of stress at the time, and it was just an amazing product. And it's really nice to be, to be able to try the product and then to be able to sell it, because exactly, how it feels and what to expect. And it makes the whole experience for them that much different also. But they're all very interested in the CBG and the CBN and how they work. And, and I tell them all the time, there's so many other cannabinoids out there that, they're all going to be coming out too. It's going to, so many at a time, they're, being discovered, as we speak. So people like that kind of stuff. I mean, people are excited about, the products of the, using a little lower THC levels with the CBD, the CBG, CBN kind of, and they love that. I've had so many people come back and say, oh my God, thank you so much for that recommendation. And come back for it, weekly or, every 2 weeks or whatever they need to.
Do most people, because I've heard many things, right? Some people kind of, if they've never been educated, they assume you need high THC for pain relief or for certain things. And then there's people that kind of went that route and had a bad experience, and they're like, there's got to be a better way. Like, what do you find, what do you deal with when you meet people where they are, kind of in terms of like understanding the THC factor in health?
Yeah. Seen it on both ends of the spectrum. There are people, that come in and like, oh yeah, I'm real high tolerance. I have to have that high THC. And I was like, and always I understand what you're saying, but, just hear me out first, and just don't knock it before you try it, because, it really does make a difference. And, usually by the time I've done my spiel, because I'll go through the whole process of explaining the CBD, what it does with the THC, the CBG, the, studies that I've seen on the CBG and, the medical things that it could potentially help in, in the future. usually they're sold, you know. I mean, and I love people who don't really take in THC, absolutely love the tinctures because they can literally control doses by the drops. I mean, literally drops until you know, they get that right dose. And I'd stress to them enough. I can't tell them enough, you know, seriously, start out with just drops. I mean, you're talking 15, 30 minutes at most, and you can do it again. But you definitely don't want, you know, untoward effects. So, you know, just take it easy. And, you know, so I do love that about the tinctures for sure.
Another thing that I think is really interesting is like people often don't know that they can use things in combination, or, you know, so do
Right.
you have any experience like or stories of your customers that have kind of created their own interesting routines or programs of how they, you know, use cannabinoids throughout the day, or for help, or just for, you know, their own wellness?
Yeah. You know, a lot of people are under the misconception that they can only use it one time a day, you know, like it's a one-time kind of thing, you know, and I tell them, well, no, I mean, you can use it more than, it is a medication. I mean, you can use it more than one time a day. You know, especially, you know, well, I mean, even the other products, the CBD products, but it's, you know, just a misconception that, you know, well, you use it one time a day and that's it. And if that's what it takes, then that's great, you know. But if you need more, then, you know, just like a medication, you can take more. So I find that that really funny because, you know, when they get prescriptions for pain or for anxiety or whatever, they know it's like every 4 hours, every 6 hours, every 8 hours, every 12 hours. So I found that very interesting.
Do you like, because I think one of the challenges by cannabis is that you have to be super aware of your own body, right? It's like you said, it's not as formulaic as everybody take two every 2 hours, right? You like, it takes a lot of like paying attention. So how do you guide people to do that work? Essentially, it's kind of like a work that you got to do, right? To figure out the right dose. And
yeah, it is a work to get to the point where they're receiving the comfort that they want. Like with sleep, a lady today, like she came in, she says, I'm just going to tell you, your suggestion was perfect. She said, I had the rest well, and then I had my gummies. So I did my rest well, my gummies at the same time, and I slept throughout the night. I didn't wake up at all. It was great. You know, it's like, oh, that's so great. That's so great. You know? And those little things are just, I mean, it's just so touching to hear because, you know, to hear that somebody sleeps through the night, because you hear so many people, it's like, oh, I just can't sleep, and I'm on this medication, that medication. It's like, oh, well, and I want to get off all these pharmaceutical medications, and it's like, you know, so it's really nice when they come back. It's like, oh, and I'm off all my meds, and
wow, that's like success right there, right?
This one lady, just as sweet as could be. She was like 81 years old, had lost her husband like a year ago. Comes in, she's just so depressed. I mean, just so down, and I mean, just in tears the whole time she's with me. And she's like, I just can't get out of my easy chair. I mean, I have no energy. I just can't go. So I had gotten her the Ease Your Mind and the Power Up. Well, about 3 weeks later, she came back in, and I did not even recognize her. She had brightest face. She had makeup on. She had a pep in her step. I mean, she was dressed just to the nines, makeup, the jewelry, the whole nine. And I just told her, even with the products, I told her, but you know, honey, don't you have a beautiful backyard? And she says, yes. And I says, do you ever go sit out in the sun? She says, I said, go sit out in your backyard, you know, I mean, get yourself out, you know, get in the sun, get some vitamin D. So she came in. It was just so gratifying to see her, you know. She was crying, she hugged me, she kissed me, she said, thank you so much, you know, you saved my life. And I was like, well, I don't know about saving your life, but
you sure made a difference.
But thank you so much. I was like, I appreciate you coming back and letting me know that. I mean, thank you so much. Sorry.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. Wow. And that's probably what keeps you like going to work every day, right? Hearing these stories.
Yes. And she still comes back into the shop, you know, and, you know, gets her little stuff, and she's doing great. She looks great. She's back doing her bingo with her ladies and going out with her girlfriends again. And it was really a touching story. So
it's beautiful. That's why we do this.
I know. Exactly. And I'm really glad that I'm actually working at the dispensary and doing this. I think it's just been a great experience for me. And the years of nursing has just really helped me tremendously, and helping people just get through just daily stress and anxiety.
Yeah, that alone is a struggle, right? For so
Yeah,
many of us. And
yes.
just having the ability to do something about it,
Yeah,
that's healthy and not harmful,
yes.
right?
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I feel like that is a great note to end on.
Perfect.
That's what it's all about. Thank you so much for
Oh,
sharing your story, sharing stories of your customers and about ANC and all the amazing work you guys are doing. And I hope I get to see you again soon.
yeah, absolutely.